This is TLV1.
Hello and welcome to World Flight. I am Daniel Campos, your host, once again bringing you 2 hours of music Monday afternoon, and I'm very lucky today to have a very special guest, a very seasoned percussionist, and also the son of an inventor who's joining us here on TLV1 FM World Flight. I'm talking about the one and only Yonatan Bar Rashi, the son of Abraham Bar Rashi. Welcome to TLV1 Radio.
Thank you, Daniel.
Maybe you can tell our listeners, why am I inviting you?
I guess I'm blessed enough to have had a lot of a long musical career and great inspiration from a father who was an amazing musician, mother who was a jazz singer, talented brothers, sisters.
A very musical family.
Yeah.
The instrument your dad invented. What's the name of it?
He called this the Gittler guitar. This is the first musical instrument acquired by the Museum of Modern Art in New York. It's an electric guitar reduced to the most minimal possible functional form. It's made of metal, all metal. It was the first guitar with the tuners at the bottom, which was copied later on by other guitars. And it's a very radical-looking guitar. It's in Museum of Modern Art, Smithsonian, Boston Museum of Fine Arts, a few other museums and collections.
But when your dad invented this instrument, was he expecting it to be seen as a piece of art or more as an instrument?
It's funny because artists loved it and musicians found it weird, and it is a radical guitar, but he was just building it for himself to play, to get what he wanted to reduce the mechanistic distraction, as he called it, to get to the music. So he just pared the electric guitar, down to the most minimal possible form without any sentimental reference to design shapes of regular electric guitars.
Jonathan, we're going to start out with some of the music. Again, you've been a percussionist for many years, as I said, very seasoned. Since the 1960s, you were born and raised in New York City. Again, a melting pot. You had a lot of multicultural experience, crossovers. You played many genres and types of music. And today we're going to start out with a song from a band you played in named Sneakers and Lace.
Yeah, that was my first big gig in the 70s, 1976. Some people saw us doing 50s rock and roll, and they decided they wanted us for a project that would bring skateboarding to music like the Beach Boys brought surfing to music. So they made an album, Skateboarding USA, and the tune here is one of the tunes from it. Dave Ortiz is singing lead, me and Dave Ramirez singing backups. I might be playing congas. I'm not sure if I remember right. This is very long ago, and it's called Down in the Street.
So here we go. We're starting out with music. Band, which our good friend here who's joining us was a member of. Sneakers and Lace, Skateboarding USA. Down in the Street is the name of the song. Here we go.
Come away from your window, just a few flights down, and there's a song. Girl, it's time for me to know you, 'cause you've been watching and I've been waiting too long. Down on the street, that's where it happens, the action is there, ready to find. Down on the street, where magic is waiting, so bring it on down and have a good time. Come and stand in the sunshine while the light of laughter fills the air. There's a bit of heaven waiting, and I know, sweet darling, it's made for us to share. Down on the street, that's where it happens, the action is there, ready to find. Down on the street, where magic is waiting, so bring it on down.
Down in the Street. That's very vintage sound. I'm looking at the cover of that album right here. Very colorful with the flowers, Skateboarding USA, Sneakers and Lace. One of the first bands you started performing with.
Yes, yeah.
Do you feel proud?
Yeah, I guess I do, yeah.
I can picture this song being a pretty big hit.
Yeah, there was some airplay, and we did a TV show. But I was playing with all kinds of groups, a lot of ethnic percussion groups and so on at that time as well. Percussion was always my thing, really.
So let's start out. At the age of 10, okay, so your sister gave you a pair of congas.
Yeah, they were pickle barrels from Chinatown. They had goat skins that were held on by C-clamps, and I just started playing on them. I mean, played on tabletops, I guess, before that, and I would go everywhere with these congas, and I started taking some kind of studies with some other guys in a storefront in Harlem and called Lexington Avenue, and this group, and I just always loved the sounds of percussion. It just always intrigued me. I always loved it.
Well, what can you tell us about your youth in New York City during this period of time? You have obviously big Puerto Rican community, Cuban as well, immigration into the United States. Wow, it's really a melting pot. We have Italian immigrants.
Yeah, totally melting pot, and I had so many musical influences from my father sitting at home playing on his guitar, to radio, from classical to jazz to whatever, and music of the streets, popular music of the time, funk, I mean, all kinds of stuff. I went to Performing Arts High School, actually for acting, not for music, but music I ended up doing afterwards, and I had already done before as my main thing.
I've noticed also in Israel, many musicians actually studied acting.
Really?
Yeah, I've noticed that quite a lot at Nitzan Nativ Acting Studio. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
We're talking about arts, creativity. People are trying to express themselves. If it's not through acting, then maybe sometimes through an instrument.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your family as well? How was it? What kind of education did you get from them?
Oh, my father, let's say, he never really pushed at all for me to play. He would be around, so I'd kind of absorb things like by osmosis, just, I guess, seeing him play and so on. My birth mother, unfortunately, I was not raised with her, so I didn't learn much from her. I was kind of reunited with her when I was like 40 years old, and she told me a lot about her career, and she was traveling the world as a jazz singer. And so my step-parents, I got also a lot of musical influence from them, from my stepmother and my stepfather. Later on, I lived with him from age 13, he and my stepmother, after my real father and stepmother got divorced when I was about 12. And so I had music all the way, friends, family, you name it.
Were your parents, for example, it's known... Okay, you're a Jewish boy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't your parents prefer for you to play around, keep a group of Jewish friends around you instead of going out there and playing with the Puerto Ricans in the park?
It's funny, but they were both Jewish, but not the typical, they were totally Hiloni. My father was like a jazz musician. My mom was a jazz singer. That's how they met. They were not, they happened to be both Jewish, but they were never, I was never really involved in the Jewish community per se in New York. It was always, we didn't grow up in a Jewish neighborhood, so I didn't have that connection. Let's say a lot of guys maybe, I was born in Brooklyn, but I didn't stay in Brooklyn, and maybe a lot of people have a strong connection, but I didn't. I just, we do the high holidays with grandparents and so on, but we didn't have that, I wasn't pushed at all in any direction by them.
Well, being raised, again, in the States during this period of time, the late 60s, we all know the war in Vietnam, you had the hippie movement, you had a lot of things going on, political activism. What can you tell us about your youth throughout this period? Were you attracted to the hippie movement, to the rock and roll scene?
Yes, and my stepmother took us to all these civil rights protests. My first plane ride was to a civil rights protest in Washington, D.C. So I was really imbued with the whole flower power movement and all kinds of stuff. So concerts when I was a kid. My parents were really kind of radical. They were like hippies in a way. So I saw Frank Zappa in a concert when I was like 9 years old. I think I think I'm still recovering. I mean, I was just taking it in. I was enjoying it. I had long hair and go to all these protests. I saw Martin Luther King speak when I was very small. So I was very, very blessed to see this scene going on.
Well, now that we've spoken about your youth, we're now going to head into the Caribbean, where you were on the Peace Corps. But before we start talking about your experience in the Caribbean, we're going to play a song. One of the songs you recorded was a very special musician from the Caribbean as well, Luther Francois. And what can you tell us about your collaboration with this man who worked with Bob Marley, with Peter Tosh?
Yeah, Luther Francois is a Caribbean jazz legend. He recorded and pop stuff with Marley and Tosh and others earlier, even the Platters. But he was really one of the pioneers of Caribbean jazz. And when I was in the Peace Corps, I happened to meet him. I was in the island of St. Lucia, and that's where he was based. And he and his family, his brother Ricky Francois on drums, Emerson Nurse, an incredible, legendary jazz pianist of the Caribbean. So this is a tune that we did when they actually had a show in New York at a music school, Crane Music College. And this is us playing, and it's one of Luther Francois' original compositions called Don't Break My Heart. I'm playing congas.
Here we go. You're listening to World Fight, special guest, Yonatan Bar Rashi. So that's music by Luther Francois.
Yes, the saxophonist and composer.
You're saying his family are also highly respected in the West Indies as one of the musical families, gurus.
Yes,
say.
yes, yeah, they're amazing, all geniuses, all artistic instrumentalists or graphic artists.
So why would you go to the West Indies on the Peace Corps?
That's where they sent us. I wrote Africa as my first choice. I had wanted to go to the tropical rainforest. I really wanted to see rainforest. That's why I went to the Peace Corps. I thought a free way to travel, to spend time, not just as a tourist. But Reagan was president at the time. He had something called CBI, Caribbean Basin Initiative, and they sent all of the Peace Corps to the Caribbean, or most of them at that time. So I said, okay, they said that's where you get to go and take it or leave it.
To Saint Lucia.
Yeah, that
Wow.
was very quite unspoiled at the time. Very few hotels, rainforest in the interior, and I had a park and naturalist job and helping raise environmental awareness in the island, so they wouldn't cut down the rainforest, so on. And I was involved in helping develop a little national park and so on.
So you were there for how many years?
I was there for 3 years. It's usually 2-year service, but I liked what I was doing, and I really got involved in music, and I loved the place, and I ended up staying another year.
Well, now that we talk about the music again, maybe you can tell us what's the greatest advantage of spending time in the Caribbean, St. Lucia. We have a lot of traditions, again, who were brought in from West Africa to the
Yes.
Caribbean by people who were enslaved. Maybe you can tell us a little bit what's the whole advantage of spending time there as a musician, as a percussionist. Tell me what blew your mind so much.
Well, the whole percussive, rhythmically, melodically, harmonically too. It's just a hugely rich culture. The Caribbean has many cultures, and each island has different culture and little subcultures within that. There's so many forms of music. The folk music, all very West African based, a bit European based as well. There's I just was fortunate to be around many musicians and to play in everything from folk groups, dance groups, to theater groups, to this jazz stuff with these incredible jazz musicians. And I'm just very lucky in every way that I got to experience that.
What about when it comes to getting to relax, chill?
Yeah.
It's a tourist attraction as well. What can you tell us about the St. Lucia?
Well, it's probably nice. I was never there as a tourist, though they brought me back there 10 years later to play 3 St. Lucia jazz festivals. But I was there. I mean, it was sort of chill by no choice, because you go there as a Peace Corps and you're all gung-ho, you want to work, and you find out it's very hot, and most of the people do not work in the middle of the day. They sleep, they rest, and so to slow down, to cool down to that pace took a while. But then it was wonderful. I went totally native. Learned to climb a coconut tree, and I just loved that. I learned to slow down and to listen, a lot to listen. They told me, you must listen, Johnny.
What about religion-wise? What can you tell us about there's also a lot of spirituality, we can say, traditions,
Yeah, there's
spirits.
no kind of obia, black magic. There's that seemed to be what a lot of people feared most. But the Roman Catholic was the main organized religion in the island of Saint Lucia. Yeah.
We're now going to continue with a song which you're actually performing with your wonderful father, Abraham Bar Rashi, and was Adam Wexler. The name of the song is Deep Hip. What can you tell us about it?
Oh, I came to Israel after I met after the Caribbean partly because my friends there. I heard my father had played with Elvin Jones, and I had told them that, and they said, "Well, you must check him out," because I hadn't seen my father too much. I saw him as a teenager, but not so much in my later youth. So I went to Israel to check him out, and I came here and to visit. It ended up being like a 30-year visit, but we ended up doing a lot of music together. Several duet CDs, and this one, he had the idea for the title. It's all improvised. He only liked to improvise after a while. He just liked to do spontaneous composition, so this is from Deep Hip.
What instrument are you playing, and what is your dad playing, and what is Mr. Wexler?
I'm playing congas and cymbals. My dad is playing his Bar Rashi guitar, one of his guitars he made after the Gittler guitar. Bar Rashi electric guitar, and Adam Wexler is playing electric bass.
So here we go, Deep Hip. From the album Deep Hip, Dynamite was the name of that song.
No, that was Deep Hip, actually.
That was Deep Hip?
That was the title tune.
What can you tell us about this album? The creative process, recording with your dad? That's pretty interesting. That's something not everyone gets to experience. So maybe you can tell us, how does it feel to be playing an instrument with your dad, recording together?
Well, he would say, and I agree that we wouldn't think about that kind of stuff playing. It was just, I'm just in it for the sound. So we're trying to forget all the personal stuff, relationship, dad, father, son, and all that. We're just playing music, and I guess because we're related and he had influence on me, I guess it fit well. But I fit well with a lot of musicians, I find. And it was just wonderful. Just no format, no preconceived format, just start. Somebody starts and the rest of us just go. This next tune is also from the same album, but much faster, and it's called Dynamite.
Here we go, Dynamite. Okay. dynamite.
Thank you. Just a quick note, my dad was 70 years old when he made these recordings, by the way. He had a lot of energy.
What can you tell us about your dad as he got older? Did his style of playing, the music he liked and enjoyed, did it change, like his taste?
I guess it was always changing. Yeah, he used to love to watch the fashion channel on TV and sit and just play along with the trance or the techno going on with that. He started composing with Cubase and stuff. He wanted me to get electronic drums and come, to the future kind of. I never did. I haven't yet, but he was very ahead of his time. Yeah. This next tune is just a duet. It's also from the same album, Deep Hip, and it's just a duet of he and I, and this is some of the most haunting, beautifully played stuff of his that I have recorded. And this tune is called Indigo.
Indigo. Wow, very, very relaxing.
Yeah. Thanks.
You must miss your dad very much.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, he was an incredible inspiration to me. He taught me a great deal.
Do you have like a lot of recordings with him that you never released before as well?
Oh, yes. Yes. Quite a few. Several. Yeah. Mainly duet stuff. Yeah.
And how was this album received from Deep Hip?
It seems to have been received real well. I just don't know much about marketing. I haven't marketed it much. I did for a while on CD Baby or something, but it was received very well. It was played a lot when it came out in Israeli radio stations. And yeah, I guess it would be, one of the nicest things I've recorded, at least in the best studio. Yeah. Yeah.
And now we have to play some songs which you recorded with some gypsy group from the Czech Republic, a band which you hold very dearly. You love working with them.
Yes, it's Ida Kellerova, a singer, Ida Kellerova, Desiderius Dujda. He's the composer and one of the singers. Piano, Ondrej Krajniak, bass, Tomas Baros, and there's just a whole bunch of people. It's a group called the Jazz Familia. Roman Janoska on violin, Marian Sevic on drums. I'm playing on darbuka. And these people came to Israel, or at least Ida and Dejo, Ida and Desiderius. They're a couple that they came. They do voice workshops and performances here. And I met we met in 2004 sometime when they were here. And since then, they've taken me to Europe and a few times on concert tours and done several CDs with them. And this is from one of them called Avon Bachtale, which means be happy. And the tune is called On My Way.
Mamo, some che Ballate manuka, kai te pire. che danne spalle di va che danne spalle di va.
Wow. That was very, very fun. It starts out bossa nova, then it became very much salsa, the piano, and it's a gypsy band from the Czech Republic. On My Way. Wonderful.
Yeah, there's funny because I was very surprised that they were into Latin music, but they loved all the Latin jazz heroes that I do, and they were just really enamored with this. And a lot of the modern gypsy stuff has this Latin influence. This next tune is more of a traditional gypsy piece. I'm playing in it on cajon. Well, you won't hardly even hear it until the fast part. But it's a tune that was rearranged, ancient or very old gypsy tune, rearranged by the same Desiderius Dujda, who's a great writer and composer of the gypsy world. And this is more of a traditional type gypsy tune, and it's called Sakojivis, and it's about, I know it's in the Romanes language, which is the gypsy language, but all I know the lyrics have to do with a daughter missing a father, and it's just the chords, it's just very weird. You'll see this is not popular at all. The chord progression is just something that really grabs my heart. It's just, you'll hear it.
Daughter's missing a father, and you have 3 daughters yourself.
I have 3 daughters, yeah. I'm missing them all when I don't see them. Yeah, yeah.
And, okay, so we're going to listen to the song, Sakojivis, and then you're going to play a tune for us. You brought your very unique instrument today with you to studio.
Great.
Maybe you can tell our listeners, what do you have in hand for us? What instrument did you bring to studio?
Oh, I have a handpan, a drum made of steel, built by a neighbor of mine, Nobuya Yamaguchi. Has beautiful sounds. It looks like a flying saucer, and it's got different tones on it, and, we hear it. Yeah.
So here goes more gypsy tunes. A gypsy tune, and then we're going to listen to our good friend Yonatan on the hangpan. You're listening to World Flight on TLV1 Radio.
E già in pengia stato miro e so schienaggia spalamente e la pistera pretumente e coi te paccia la vende e la pistera pretumente e coi te paccia Sakojives me la manga, šajme pena palma hablas. Sakojives me la manga, šajme pena palma hablas. Ujaj penjas da domiro, esos que nachas ta la mente, en la vistera pretumente. Kaj te paccia entre la veglie e la vistera pretumente kaj te paccia entre la veglie
Very, very upbeat.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I forgot to say, the accordion solo just at the very end was by the great Lelo Nika, incredible Serbian gypsy accordionist who played with Joe Zawinul and all kinds of people. One of the greatest. I forgot to mention him earlier.
So he's gone also into the fields of experimental jazz and fusion jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to tune your... Well, there's no way of tuning your instrument.
Yeah, well, it is, but it's all ready. I'll just play a little of this handpan built by Nobu Yamaguchi.
Wow. Very, very nice. How difficult is it to play this instrument?
I find it very, very easy. You just bounce your fingers off off this body of this thing, and there you go. It's like a drum, but it has these 8 notes on or so. It's I love it.
What about the holistic powers of the sound? Like I said, I felt very relaxing behind my neck while you're playing that in studio.
Wow, yeah, it's really nice. Sometimes I play it for people when they're not feeling well, or, even been hired for like music therapy kind of sessions. For people, it is a very relaxing kind of sound, especially the scale that he made. He makes many of them now, my friend Nobuya, and much better sounding than this, and in many different scales. And yeah, it's a beautiful sounding instrument.
Where's your friend from? From which country?
He's from Japan originally, but he's lived in Israel about, 25 years or so. In Hod, 20 years. He started getting into percussion more so after he and I met. He saw a xylophone I built. He started building xylophones of metal, then steel drums, and then this handpan after I brought one back from Switzerland where they were first made. He started building these, and he builds them really great. He's Japanese, and he has an Israeli wife and kids, and he's here a long time.
So you have a very interesting community in Hod. It's known for many years. It's one of the centers of creativity in Israel with the Dada movement, by Marcel Hanko. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about this special city where you live in.
Yeah, well, it's really more of a tiny village. It's I have some very good friends there. I love it for the scenery around. I love walking in nature. I love for the people too. There are all several kinds of artists, mostly graphic artists and sculptors. And it's not a kibbutz or anything. It's just a yishuv. So there are exhibitions, group exhibitions and so on. And there's a jam session I do there every Thursday evening at the cafe in Hod. And there's just a lot of nice people, and also one can be very quiet and alone when they want. So I just find it very lovely.
And what about the energy of the city?
Yeah, I find it's beautiful. It's really nice.
You spend a lot of time in nature.
I do, yeah. I like to walk around and by the sea and in the hills there. It's just right by the sea and by the forest, so it's just a gorgeous area. I'm very blessed to live there.
Well, I get the impression, well, it was part of a stage of yours in life. You lived in Shchonat Tikva.
Yeah, I did for a couple of years. I lived there. I lived in the Shomron for 3 years about. I lived in Jerusalem my first 5 years in Israel, in Shuk Machane Yehuda. I live in quite a few places in Israel, yeah.
But this place, Enod, now seems like the spot, the perfect place for you at this stage in your life.
Yeah, I've been there for a while, since about the year 2000, so it's grown on me. I've lived a little bit other places besides Enod, but I came back and I'm in a beautiful spot there, and I'm just the luckiest guy I know.
You were telling me you like coming to Tel Aviv once in a while to play with a good friend of yours who's also a musician. We're going to play some of your music with him afterwards. After this song we have left from you was the collaboration with the Gypsy Band.
Yeah, this one is called Kalo Jivas. It also has a very Latin feel, and it's with Marie Dujdova singing. Not the same Ida Kellerova, but another singer, actually the niece of the composer, and it's the same musicians as I listed before, and this is called Kalo Jivas.
And where does their obsession come with Latin music, really?
I don't know. I really don't know. And the Gypsies, they say, originated in Egypt. That's how they get named Gypsy. They spent hundreds and hundreds of years in India and came to Europe about 900 years ago. But I guess maybe all like Jews and other Mediterranean people, or they're all interested in all kind of different sounds of Latin. A lot of their music is very similar to Jewish music. A lot of the traditional Gypsy is amazingly similar to traditional Jewish music.
I sometimes get confused between Balkan Gypsy music and klezmer music.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. There are many kinds of Gypsy music and many kinds of Jewish music too, of course. But yeah, there are a lot of pieces, a little bit of jazz. It's just a quick demo of 3 styles he's playing, and you get to hear him. 2 of them, the first 2 are of him on violin, David Ada on keyboard, and I'm on percussion. And the one in this little segment here is Amin on oud. And so it's just I call this Amin's demo.
So he's a multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah, incredible musician. I never played jazz before, but hear how he plays. He plays as good as any violinist I play with in Europe and stuff, or the most famous ones I've heard of. You'll hear now.
So we heard how Amin masters the violin and the oud.
Mm-hmm.
How old is this friend of yours?
He's, I don't know, about 3-4 years younger than I. I guess he's about 50 by now.
How did you guys meet?
We met, a guy got us together, a guy who used to get together these festivals like Bombamela and Shantipi, and I used to play at these festivals with different groups, and he too sometimes, and somebody just had us come up on the stage together at the ethnic stage, and we just started playing, and we kept playing, and we played so fast that all the other musicians just couldn't keep up. So we just found ourselves, just us two, playing there for hours, just doing this in crazy improvised duet. And we just met at that festival, and since then we played a lot. Our families see each other a lot, and just a wonderful guy. And this last tune, these are samples from and the next tune is samples from our record. I call it Mideast Magic. That's with Amin on violin and oud, and David Ad on keyboard, and me on percussion. And there's some other musicians too in some of the other tracks.
So the tune we are going to listen to now, it's called Latin.
Latinterlude, I call it. Because
Latinterlude.
also he got into some Latin, and you never hear oud with Latin music, but this is just a very short segment of what he can do with oud in the Latin genre. It's crazy, and he has a very nice dialogue with the keyboardist here in this tune, this little piece of it.
So we now continue with the song Coconut Woman. What can you tell us about this stage of yours?
This is with my band, the Kostitsa band, who I've been playing with steadily at Mayana Bira in Haifa for every Tuesday for at least the last 10, 13 years, something like that. And it's a rock and roll band usually. I'm playing drum set and singing. And this one is a Caribbean, a calypso tune, maybe by Harry Belafonte or traditional calypso. And I'm singing and playing drums. It's got Lior Paz on saxophone, Ronnie Kotliar lead guitar, Doc Roy Spungen on harmonica, and Eitan Netchen on bass. Coconut Woman by Kostitsa Band.
Coconut woman is a calling out, and every day you can hear her shout. Coconut woman is a calling out, and every day you can hear her shout. Get the coconut water, and it's good for your daughter. Coco got a lot of iron, make it strong like a lion. Well, lady tell me the other day, no one can take her sweet man away. I asked her what was the mystery. She said coconut water and a rice curry. You can cook it in a pot, you can eat it very hot. Coco got a lot of iron, make it strong like a lion. Coconut woman is a calling out, and every day you can hear her shout. Coconut woman is a calling out, and every day you can hear her shout. Get your coconut water, and it's good for your daughter. Coco got a lot of iron, make it strong like a lion. Hey, lady, tell me the other day, no one can take a sweet man away. I asked her what was the mystery. She said coconut water and a rice curry. You can cook it in a pot, you can eat it very hot. Coco got a lot of iron, make it strong like a lion.
That's a perfect tune for a summer day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the Belafonte version.
Yeah, I grew up with that. And that's one of the few things of that we do. We mainly do blues and rock and roll. We even got voted as like the best blues band in Israel in a way. We got an audition to go and play in an international blues meet in Memphis, Tennessee. We were there a few months ago and was, except we had a better singer. Yossi Elbaz, different singer, amazing singer. And we went and represented Israel in that international blues meet. That was a few months ago.
Wow, wonderful. We have now Millionaire Song. What can you tell us about this one?
All right. Millionaire Song. Well, it has to do with a real good close friend of mine, Daniel Dworsky, a brilliant composer, pianist, multi-instrumentalist. This is not a song by him. It's an old blues song by Willie Cox, but this is an arrangement that my friend Danny made. He's playing the keys and doing the lead vocals. On backup vocals and guitar is Jasmine Klinger, who also was the recording technician, who also did the recording. On upright bass, we have Dan Weiselberg, and I'm playing drums with brushes, and it's a very slow, relaxing song, played and sung mainly by Daniel Dworsky.
Once I lived the life of a millionaire. I spent my money, I didn't care. Just taking my friends out for a mighty fine time. I was buying them expensive dinners, champagne, fine wine, but when I began to fall so low, I couldn't find a friend, I had no place to go. If I ever get my hands on $1 again, I'm going to squeeze it till George Washington grins, because nobody knows you when you're down and out. In your pocket, not one penny in your friends. You haven't any. But it goes without doubt that nobody knows you when you're down and down. Oh, nobody knows you when you're down and down. In your pocket, not one penny in your friends. What friends? You haven't any. Find me up back on the blue wagon again. I ain't gonna visit none of you long lost friends. It's mighty strange, but it goes without doubt that nobody knows you when you're down and down.
Very relaxing tune. So who is this great singer?
His name is Daniel Dworsky. He's, like me, a transplanted American. He's been living in Athlete for quite a while, and he has a few CDs out, and he's played with a lot of the top names in soul and R&B in the U.S., and he's a composer and singer and just a brilliant and dear friend. Danny Dworsky.
And now we have another song. It's actually, we're almost reaching the end of your visit here at TLV1 FM, which has been a great pleasure. We have two more songs left. One is called Down Break My Heart. The name of the song is Wake. Mayan. Okay, spring.
Yes,
Okay.
spring. This is just percussion. But before we play it, if it's okay, I just wanted to say I'll be playing in the upcoming stuff. Well, I'm at Mayana Beer every Tuesday night in Haifa with the Kositsa band, but an upcoming project is with a group called Triad. We're playing at the Jacob's Ladder Folk Festival that's coming up, and Triad is with Clive Noble on guitar and keys and composing, Becca Kristofsky on vocals and composing on bass guitar, and Michael Levetter on guitar and singing, and me on percussion and singing. And that's just one of several other projects I have going. And if you come to see us all, Jacob's Ladder would be great.
So this is our last song then, Mayan.
Yes, this is just percussion now. This is just me in a studio in Florentine, doing a few tracks on cajon and darbuka and bongos, and even a little bit later comes a little xylophone that I built, and I just kind of layered them on for this fun little run through the rainforest called Mayan.
Yonatan, thank you very much for coming.
You're most welcome.
Maybe you can give out the website to our listeners who are interested in looking up the Gittler guitar. How do you spell out the Gittler guitar? I'm sure many people want to get a look at it.
Gittler.
And what can you tell us about the sound engineers behind the reproduction of this instrument? You have a whole team.
Yeah, now the sound is much better. The electronics are far improved than in the original analog model. It's got a whole new electronic board. It's made out of titanium instead of stainless steel. It's lighter in weight. It looks just like my father's original design, though. And it's GittlerInstruments.com is the name of the website, in case anybody wants any information about it.
Thank you very much for tuning in and for keeping us company this afternoon.
You're most welcome. It's a gift.